Well, let's move to the tech side. Um,
Awesome.
as I think I can't wait to get into this part. What role does the Chainlink decentralized Oracle framework take to help DMM maintain a fully collateralized, transparent, and trust minimized money market?
Yeah. So with Chainlink, there's four key areas of participation from them, and I'll start with the simple ones and start to dive into it a bit more then with it. So the first is when measuring collateralization, we need a common means of calculation for it. So for us, we use the U.S. dollar for it, but in other countries we could have used another one as well, like the Chinese yuan. But so right now with the cryptocurrency that we're holding on hand, we use their price feeds on chain in order to calculate how much the crypto is actually worth for once. We can measure what we have in deposits. And then going one layer deeper, all the collateral that we have right now in the cars, we're actually sourcing data from Blackbook, and Chainlink is working with us to actually bring that data on chain. And essentially what they're doing is they're taking the data from Blackbook and sanitizing it with each of the 912 or so vehicles that we have sitting in the pool, and they're attributing a value to them. So we can actually measure how much and real world assets we actually have helping with backing the ecosystem then. So that's another big one right there. And then the other two big things actually relate back to governance then. So at the end of the day, we have a protocol that exists on chain, and if really on chain and real world assets, it would definitely simplify things. But at the end of the day, we really see ourselves as a cool protocol that is trying to bridge real world assets into a blockchain environment, which is potentially a very messy and difficult thing to do, especially for those that are more technically minded that understand the Oracle problems that can come from that.
Right.
So for us, Chainlink is the best solution out there as an Oracle provider in order to do independent actions that need to reflect the best interest or the interest of the DAO that can be voted on in order to effectuate them or materialize them in the real world. So other things that we're working on with them is twofold. So the first is the money that flows into the DMM ecosystem. It first comes in crypto, of course, and we're always going to be keeping a good amount of crypto on hand, and our smart contracts actually dictate how much we need to keep in there so we can't cheat the system. And then there's always going to be a portion that flows into real world assets then. And there might be a couple day period where money is in transit from crypto to those assets. And during that period, it could be in crypto or it could be in fiat in transition. Chainlink can help us in actually tracking that money then, so that the ecosystem participants can always be comfortable seeing where the money is actually flowing to when it's not allocated into a real world asset or it's not sitting in the DMM smart contracts directly, which is quite important. And that's the third thing. The fourth thing, which is, in my opinion, the coolest, and this is where we're doing a lot of the research and development with them, is with the actual DAO, or where DMG comes into play.
Mhm.
So if you imagine an ecosystem where all the DMG holders are coming together to vote on something. Let's say they're going to vote on onboarding the new asset, which in this case is the PC-12 aircrafts we talked about.
Right.
So our article about that doesn't actually bring the aircraft in. We're just doing what we think is our core responsibility right now, which is presenting new deal flow to the DAO as one of the things that we can do to help it for the time being. But at the end of the day, it's up to the DAO or the DMG holders to vote it into existence. So when the DMG holders vote it into existence and they want to bring it on, there'll be some smart contracts and some technical things that need to happen. But beyond that, we think that the Chainlink oracles can actually read the outcome of a vote actually on chain and actually propagate that to do real world actions then. And in the most simplest of terms, it could be something like, based upon the voting outcome, send an API call to our bank account that can move funds from one bank to another to pay a loan servicer in order to kick off the process of actually bringing on the PC-12 aircrafts. It could be very comprehensive things like that. But without a strong independent Oracle solution like Chainlink, doing that independent action I just described of potentially making an API call to a bank account that moves funds around is inherently not trustless anymore, and it actually circumvents the entire purpose of us running this as a DAO. By essentially moving a lot of that real world action then to Chainlink, we're actually further decentralizing the process and moving it to an independent party that actually moves this as being hands off. So in the traditional world, what this would look like then instead, if we didn't have something like Chainlink, it would be the DMG holders vote on something, and then the DMM Foundation does the action based upon whatever the vote was. But there's no one actually forcing us to take that action. So if the proposal said that got voted into existence said, do not onboard the PC-12 aircraft, but we were responsible for doing that at the end of the day, the DMM Foundation, we could just say, oh, we don't agree with the vote, we don't like what they voted on, and we could just go ahead and do it anyway. But that's not what the DAO actually voted on, which is obviously what reflects what the voting and participation leans towards. So by using Chainlink for this, instead of another party to manually do it, Chainlink could be the independent party to do that. And then we, the DMM Foundation, would not be able to circumvent that in any way. It would just be what they do is reflects the actions of the proposal and the voting of the DAO. And there wouldn't be any way for us to cheat the system or go around it. It is what it is, and we have to deal with the outcome of the vote, and that's what's most fair. So we think that this is really going to bring on a new age of DAOs that can now participate and do real-world actions, and we think that we can help exemplify this new technology.